Let's talk red dot sights. Y'all have seen this gun a bajillion times, I guess, at this point. But it's the RM06 that I'm running. Let's see if I can get the dot in there. 3.25 MOA red dot, RM06. I said RMR06, but the right model number is RM06. And I just realized I never done anything specifically about the RMR on a handgun. There's plenty of videos out there, but I figured I'd throw my 2 cents on it. And one question I get asked a lot is, what's it like? We know it's supposed to help with speed, but how does it help with precision? So what I'm going to do is, I'm on a 25-yard indoor, the underground range, and I'm going to shoot at 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch target pasties at 3, 5, 7, 15, and 25 yards with the RMR, and just we'll talk about precision as we go. So let me set everything up, and then we'll run a group at those distances. All right, so you see the 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch target pasties. Give you an idea how big that is up against 9mm round. So I'm going to shoot 5 rounds at 3, 5 at 5, and 5 at 7 with the RMR, and just we'll talk about precision, like I said, as we go. All right, so I've got 10 rounds in here. Let me add 5 more rounds to the mag. This first group is going to be starting at that left sticker, the one that was marked 3. Then I'll run it out to 5 yards. Then I'll run it out to 7, and we'll just shoot all this on one video stream. The interesting thing about the RMR is not just the speed of picking up something that's illuminated. There's that first 5-round group. But it's also that with a 3.25 MOA dot, it's something very small on that target. So I think it does help with precision. So if I'm standing here at 3 yards, the dot as I see it on those 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch target pasties is significantly smaller than that pasty. So putting that red dot in the middle of that target pasty at 3 yards gives me something significantly smaller to aim at than at this distance a front sight would cover up. Okay, so now I'm about 5 yards. I'm going to move over to that middle sticker. And you may not be able to tell now. Let's talk about this real quick. At 5 yards, the dot is getting a little bit bigger. It's just a tiny bit smaller than the sticker itself is at this distance. Now we're at 7 yards. I'll move to the far right sticker, put 5 more rounds in and bring it in. Now at this distance, the dot and the sticker are about the same size at 7 yards. Okay, so let's bring that back and talk about the groups. And this will bring up another dynamic that I think it's important for you to understand if you're going to run red dot. So this is 3 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards. Group size is about the same. I did have one flyer, or I guess I jerked the trigger a little bit or something, and dropped that low. But you'll see the point of impact and point of aim starting to shift, where it's all a little under the sticker at 3 yards, sort of splitting the sticker in half at 5 yards, and then most of the group is level with where the sticker is in terms of point of impact, point of aim. Like I said, that's all me right there. So when you put this dot out there, it gives a pretty precise place for you to put that dot. Now you're not seeing this in the same way that an eye would see it at this distance looking through the camera. Let me get that back in there. But if I was to run this out to 7 yards, what you'll find, so I can get that dot back out there on the target. I know it's hard to get this to focus on see if you kind of get an idea how big those stickers are, and then I put this about at arm's distance, you can kind of see how that dot and that sticker occupy about the same size. If you compare that to the sight of the Glock, you'll see that the Glock front sight does take up a significant amount of real estate on that target. Enough to matter in the real world? No, of course not. That's still headshot accurate. Those sights well beyond that distance, even on the standard Glock. But having that smaller dot does help you call your shot a little bit better if you're doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, I've refaced the target, and I'm going to run it to 15 yards now. I'm leaving just one sticker on there so that it's easier to tell which sticker I'm supposed to be aiming at, and I think it'll show the group size better rather than stacking stickers on top of each other. So this will be the 15-yard sticker. Okay, the target's out there at 15 yards again, same thing. I'm going to put that red dot as close as I can to where that orange sticker is. I probably should have picked a different color sticker since they sort of present themselves as the same color out there at that distance. And let's just put a 5-round group at 15 yards. Okay, you know what I probably should have done that time is turn the brightness of the dot down, because typically the dimmer the dot is, the smaller it appears. So that's still a fairly decent group for 15 yards with that full bloom. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, I think that's pretty much me. But if we discount the flyer, you know, that's a pretty small group at that distance. So I'm just going to target pasty these up white, these holes, and we'll run this back out at 25 yards and do the same group. All right, got it all covered up. Run this out here to 25 yards. In the interest of keeping it consistent across this little test we're running here, I'm not going to turn the brightness down on the RMR, and I'm not going to turn the lights up at the end of the range. I'm just going to leave it like it is. It's not like you can really adjust these brightness levels on the fly in the middle of a situation. So not that we're doing situation-esque shooting at this speed, looking for this level of precision. But we got it at 25 yards. Let me see if I can just plop this down. I'm having to use some creative things to help hold my phone where it needs to be. So there we go, we've got that. I'm gonna get 5 rounds. This is a 115 grain factory reloaded ammunition from Zero in Coleman, Alabama. I've used a few different companies' factory reloaded ammunition, and I have had absolutely no more failures or issues out of Zero factory loaded ammunition as I have with any big name off-the-shelf ammo. All right, 5 more rounds. Dots, you know, covering up a fair amount of real estate here at this distance, but we'll just try to keep it where I think that sticker is. Kind of pulled that last one a little bit. Now, the reason why I prefer the RM06 versus some of the other ones is because it's the smallest MOA dot they have. And like I said, turning the brightness down tends to make the dot seem as small as possible. But on the other hand, turning the brightness up makes it appear larger. So, actually pretty close to where the sticker was. I assumed it was a little lower than I guess it was out there. But you got your 5-round group, still with well smaller than, you know, it's a 4-finger group, I guess. But, you know, plenty accurate, you know, from a precision standpoint, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. But what I would recommend you consider getting the 06 versus some of the other RMRs, only because, one, like I was talking about the brightness level, I can, if I turn this down one more click and put this out there on the target, get that dot in there, you can barely even see the dot. Now, this does have night vision capable brightness levels where you're not burning dots, you know, blemishes into your tubes. But then again, I can take this up a few levels and make it super bright, and then it's a really big dot. So now we're looking at probably a 9 MOA dot as it looks to the eye. So it is going to be a little different than a true 9 MOA dot. because it's going to bloom more. But if you were outside in full light and you wanted a big dot for just torso levels precision, that would work really well. But anyway, like I said, I get a lot of questions about precision as it pertains to running the red dot, and I'm a big fan of the red dot. I can't envision me carrying a double stack pistol ever again without a red dot installed. So it's just like cheating. It's not just that you can achieve the same levels of precision as you could with a precision designed notch and post sight, but it's also the speed of something that's illuminated. True, is it something that could fail? Sure, it could fail, but if you're running backup sights through the glass, you have some redundancy there. Not that I'm doing it with the XD, but I will be doing it with the Glock. And it's also, I look at it like this, we don't have any heartburn anymore about running battery-powered optics on ARs. In fact, to my understanding, the Marine Corps is qualifying with optics now instead of iron sights, which kind of baffles me. I hope they're still practicing with them, because we were qualifying out to 500 yards with iron sights. So when I was in the Marine Corps, but anyway, I think if you have the redundancy of backup sights that you can co-witness, I think you should feel very confident, especially with a really high quality optic like the Trijicon RMR. It's probably not going to fail on you. And there's plenty of different versions. The 06 is internal battery powered. It's got a bunch of adjustable brightness settings. It has an auto setting where it adjusts automatically to the brightness in your environment. But you have to keep in mind that's where the RMR is sitting, not where you're potentially aiming at. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're in a dark room aiming at something really bright out there, you're not going to be able to see your dot on the auto setting, but it's pretty quick to sit up there, reach up and just click it one click in whatever brightness direction you need to go. And like I said, it's night vision capable, so if I run PVS 14s on a helmet rig, I can use that pistol and pick up my red dot without causing any blims on my tube. So they're really good to go. I think they're just as advantageous on a pistol as they are on a rifle. The only concern I would have running, or I guess my biggest concern with running the RMR, is that I guess if you've ever come inside, especially here in Alabama where we're inside and you're nice in the AC and everything, and you walk outside immediately where it's humid, like if you wear glasses, even sunglasses that have been inside with you, they fog up really quick because the coolness of that lens versus the humidity causes condensation. I'm sure the same thing's happening with that lens from time to time if it's been inside and reached that 73-degree room temperature, and then I go out in a 90-degree, 100% humidity. You may get a cloud on there, you may get some dirt or something. Anything that obstructs your vision through that is also obstructing your use of the backup sights. If the sight itself goes down, then that's fine. It's just glass and you look through it. But once again, folks, the reality is that most engagements, especially defensive engagements, are happening at very close ranges where your point shoot distances, and you're unlikely to be intentionally focused on picking up the front sight because your quadrant of focus is going to be narrowly externally focused on the focal plane of the threat, where it should be. That's a fighting focal plane. So unless there's something very important in your environment that you're able to consciously shift that focal plane for good reason, then you want to be that narrowly externally focused on the threat. And most defensive engagements happen where that's you can reach the level of precision you need even for a headshot in that frame of mind. If you have enough draws and presentations with your sights that you can aim or point naturally to the right level of precision. So anyway, a big fan of the RMR. If you haven't ran one on a pistol, you should try it. It is phenomenal. And the people that struggle with it, I think, struggle because they just don't put enough time in it. And I'm not going to be the only person saying this. It's all over the interwebs, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. But if you have an RMR or some reflex sight on a handgun and you're struggling finding that dot, the problem is not the dot. The problem is not your eyes. The problem is your presentation. You are not presenting the weapon in a flat trajectory towards where you intend to put that weapon. You're probably rocking the gun down. As you draw, you're rocking it down, which is bad whether you're using iron sights or a red dot because it's not an efficient presentation. It's not an efficient draw stroke. So if you will just work on intentionally driving that gun straight out in line, the gun, I'm not even necessarily saying the sights, but the gun in line with the direction of your eyesight. So if I'm shooting at something that's 6 inches down at 20 feet away from my line of sight, like a chest, that's a specific angle, and that's the angle I want to present that weapon out, where I'm naturally and instinctively pointing that weapon in the direction that I intend to throw projectiles. And if you'll focus on that kind of stuff with your draw stroke, that dot will just be waiting on you to get there. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this. We'll see y'all next time.